Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse today, Thursday, March 13th, 2025. What a difference a day makes. Yesterday, this was entirely full here for the Mahmoud Khalil hearing. We live tweeted it, and then we put up at midnight. The government followed up with a affidavit, unsigned as submitted by Mr. Joyce, saying that Khalil, on the Saturday night that he was arrested, was initially, look, this is why we're doing it here today, in 26 Federal Plaza. He was processed, but at some time before 4 a.m., he was moved to the immigration facility in New Jersey. And then after that, according to them, the petition was filed electronically, of course, in the Southern District of New York. And so it seems, after yesterday's hearing, I checked out Judge Furman's decision in a 2018 case. He said no jurisdiction if, at the time of filing, the person is elsewhere. The only exception to that could be bad faith, and we'll see whether he makes an inquiry into that. We'll have to just see. The government also asked in its motion that it be transferred not to New Jersey, but now, since I guess it was filed and will be dismissed here or transferred, to the Western District of Louisiana. There's 12 judges there. We'll have more if that does happen. Also, we're covering, of course, 3 trials in the Southern District of New York. We're covering the Iran murder for hire trial, in which apparently Mr. Medvedev will be cross-examined by Polat Amarov's lawyer in a few short moments, and we're going to be covering that. We're also covering, of course, the continuation of Charlie Javice. They're bringing in Capital One. Capital One didn't buy Frank, and they're going to explain why they didn't buy it. Meanwhile, the Trump organization has sued Capital One while its merger with Discover is pending. We're tracking that closely as we put up more than 1,000 pages of a FOIA response by the Federal Reserve Board, belated FOIA response showing inordinate access by Capital One. Who's in their wallet? And we're also covering K-Flock. Here in Foley Square, actually, some of his supporters were filming day 1, day 2, now we're further on. This guy, Vance Brockington, we did a little research. He's the cooperator in the case. He was, yesterday on the stand, he said that he had been cooperating with NYPD, kind of as a snitch, not as a testifying witness. And then, this is the interesting part, he was recorded and sort of, not set up. I mean, he was stealing crack, and they got him in Washington Avenue, 186th Street. It's an area I know pretty well. They arrested him. He was presented in the Southern District Magistrates Court, which I cover closely, and then he disappeared. His docket went dormant, just a number of continuances in the interest of justice, and then there was no guilty plea entered. But he has pled guilty and faces mandatory minimum of 20 years. But to get out from under that, he's seeking the 5K1 letter by testifying. And he said, I think this bothered some people. One of the things he testified to is that he was shot, and that Kevin Perez, according, again, to Vance Brockington, said, "We got you, bro," and retaliated. Some people say it's particularly egregious to be cooperating for someone who, I don't know. You have to read it. We're following it, and we're covering it. But we're going in now to the courthouse because these 3 cases are calling. We'll also be covering the United Nations, which, corrupt as they are, this staff letter calling for Guterres to resign based on his failures has not been responded to. We submitted the whole text of it to the spokesman, Stefan Dujarric, and to Melissa Fleming, head of media accreditation, and they didn't see fit to even answer it because they believe they live in a separate impunity world on the First Avenue. We'll see how long it holds. So far it has. Litmus test 2025. To be continued.